The majority of Valorant knives are very expensive, costing around 35 to 40 bucks. Well, in today's video, I want to take a look at a bunch of Valorant knives that are on the more cheaper end and are perfect for anybody who wants to still get a really good knife skin, but also doesn't want to spend as much money. Hit the like button below and subscribe if you enjoy. And let's first talk about an honorable mention, that being Battle Pass knives. Now, I'm not going to talk about any in particular because you can't get most of them anymore, but I'm going to say that if you want the best bang for your buck and the cheapest knife, the Battle Pass is the best way to go because you can get a knife for just $10 and a bit of grinding. So before you actually do end up making a purchase in the store, I would recommend you always check out what is currently in the Battle Pass. And with that out of the way, let's first talk about the first budget knife skin in the game, and that's going to be the Equilibrium Fan. Coming in at 2,550, this is one of the few deluxe rarity knives in the game with upgrades. That being, when you upgrade this knife, you will get the Celestial Fan animations, which are probably some of my favorite in the game because that pullout is very nice and so is the inspect. On top of that, there also is a second variant, and if you also do get a really good discount in the night market, it is also possible to get this knife for 1,300 VP. Overall, this is a really good knife for what you pay. Up next, we're going to talk about the Katrina knife. This is basically like the Ruined Dagger 2.0 because it has the same type of animations and it has 3 different variants, 2 being one singular color and the last one being a reactive variant. This knife is a good option for anybody that wants to get a Ruined Dagger style knife. And just like the fan, you can either get it for 25 USD or possibly for 15 if you get a good night market discount. But if you're not a big fan of the Katrina knife, you could also end up going for the Omen Dagger, which is another dagger style knife. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of this knife because of how it looks with the gun buddy on the end of it, but I know a lot of people live and die by this knife and just think it's one of the cleanest in the game that we have so far, especially if they main Omen. So for that reason, I'm putting it in this video. On the other hand, this next knife is going to cost a bit more, but it is going to be the cheapest option if you want to end up going for a great sword style animation, because normally if you want to go for something like the Prelude to Chaos knife or the Ruination knife, you will have to spend $43. But there is actually a cheaper option, that being the Blade of Amondir, where you can get it at the premium price point, that being 3,550, and it's also possible to get it discounted in the night market where you could possibly get it for $18. The only complaint I do see from a lot of players about this knife is that it does take up quite a bit of your screen, but if you're fine with that, this is definitely a good knife to pick up, especially if you get it discounted. Up next, this is going to be the cheapest skin on this list, and that's going to be the Smite Hammer. The Smite Hammer gets many points for being quote-unquote a meme skin, meaning that if you do end up buying this and using it in the game, you are going to have a couple people notice and crack a few jokes about it. On top of that, this knife does have some pretty cool animations and an Easter egg where there is a very small chance the knife will just randomly turn gold for a round. And all this can be bought normally for $17 or even as low as $893 if you get a really good discount in the night market. Although I'm gonna say this one thing, a lot of the skin's aura does come from the fact that it is a meme skin, so if you don't care about any like Valorant related memes, then I would recommend that you skip on this knife and buy something more normal. Like the Blade of Circuit, this gold looking knife is another one of those deluxe rarity knives with upgrades, so despite the fact it is one of the lower rarities in the game, it will still contain an animation upgrade, that being it will have these custom dual wield animations, which has different attacking animations, a different right click, and a different inspect animation. So if you're somebody that likes dual wield knives, this might be perfect for you, clocking in around 25 USD, and it can come into the night market. Next, we're going to talk about 2 different knives, the same animation style. First up being the No Limits Bat. This is the cheapest bat you can get from the store, and you can get it for a total of 25 USD, and supports this red, black, and white look, and it's actually reactive, meaning that if you go to a darker part of the map, the bat will actually change colors. The only possible complaint I might have for this skin is the fact that it has no variance whatsoever, so if you want to take off the reactivity of the knife, you are shit out of luck. It's not like the Katarina knife that has 2 different variants. Another knife that uses these same animations is the Winter Wonderland Candy Cane, which has 4 different variants, and the main gimmick about this knife is the fact that it has a hidden Easter egg, because normally it's a pretty plain looking bat animation knife. but if you end up hitting the wall enough, it will actually end up breaking and giving the knife different animations and turning it into a shank. That for me is enough to make it a decent option for anybody that wants to have one of the more unique knives in the game that has 2 sets of animations. And just like most other knives, this will be sold for around 25 USD. These next 2 knives also have the same animation style, and it's up to your preference on which one you prefer more. The first being the Emberclad hammer, having the same animations as the Cryostasis hammer, except this one has no upgrades but has a different model with this fiery effect in the middle. And on the other hand, if you don't like the hammer, you could end up going with the Stormmaw axe. This Sigma looking skin. This axe with a wolf design on it is perfect for anyone who wants to use the hammer animations but doesn't want to use a super bulky hammer like Cryostasis or Emberclad. And because both of these are also deluxe rarity, it's going to be $25 or possibly $13 if you get a good discount. Now, this knife isn't everyone's cup of tea because it is one of the more generic knives in the game, but I do know for some people they are gonna love this knife because although it only uses the default animations, it is a stiletto knife, and anybody who's played CS2 or CSGO are definitely gonna love having a stiletto knife in Valorant also, so I'm just gonna put this here as a brief mention. Although if you are a big fan of CS style knives, this one will definitely be way better, and this is gonna be the MK Liberty Bayonet. This knife will have far more interesting animations, that being the dagger style animations similar to what Reaver has, and it will also have 4 different variants which lets you change the color of the handle. Both of these CS style knives will be 25 USD or 13 as before, but if I personally had to pick between these 2, I would say the MK Liberty skin is a better bang for your buck because it has better animations and it has variants. Slowly finishing this off, we're gonna have the Xeno Hunter knife. Despite the fact this is a premium knife, this is the cheapest way to get these style of animations. All the other knives were either limited edition or cost $4,350. If you want to buy it for 35 bucks, this will be your best option, and possibly you could also get it into your night market, so you could also get it as cheap as $18. Almost finished, but now we have the Combat Crafts axe. This has a upgrade that gives it the gimmick of every round you will have a different variant, that being one round it might be Glitch Pop, the other round it might be Neo Frontier or the Candy Cane. This is basically a bunch of shitty ripoffs all in one skin, and every round you'll have a different axe. This skin does lean more towards as being a meme skin, but I think it's a good option for anybody that wants a skin with upgrades and don't want to buy a premium knife. And because it's deluxe, it will be $25. The last set of skins we're going to cover in this video is going to be any premium butterfly knife, that being Recon, the Eurocomb, or the Black Market Ballet Song. If you do want to end up getting a butterfly knife in Valorant, these will be the cheapest options for you because they will only cost $35, which is a bit more than the premium skins, but this also does mean they could also possibly come to the night market, meaning they could possibly go as low as $18. This is unlike all the other exclusive butterfly knives that can't come to the night market and also cost $43. But those are all the best budget Valorant skins I can think of. Hit the like button below and comment if you enjoyed, and subscribe because in our last video we just hit 10k subs, so now let's hit 20k. Anyways, see ya.